Hi, Matt Shinian here. Welcome to my studio. I'm preparing for this year's um, Cambridge Valley Fine Art Tour, which is coming up in a few days. And these are the paintings I selected to put on the walls, even though people probably will find paintings in the stacks. These are all within the last 3 or 4 months or whatever. And I wanted to talk about place, not so much how I find it, but what it is. And there's a seeming randomness to how I find places. And generally speaking, I like to find things that I see on a regular basis. I don't necessarily go out of my way to find. I mean, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But generally speaking, I find a random spot and I pick a scene from that spot according to a lot of formal qualities, like how much contrast and what the design of that picture would be like and how those things fit together. So if I take, for example, say this painting here, this is a painting of Lake George in the background. In the foreground, I'm in a parking lot, and there's some fairly large vehicles, a truck and a big car, and they're black. So I thought that was kind of interesting, just in terms of how that would look with the lake in the background. And everybody paints the lake, so I love painting the lake, and it's a beautiful place. And this had an interesting feel to it. It feels like that's where you are. That's reality. And there's a sense I like to find interesting things where I am, and it's not about a lot of things, but it is about being in your own skin all the time, where you are. And it's also about finding a certain quietude there and letting the observation of that scene, of that place. Here's a painting, Backlots off Washington Street in Greenwich. This is not that far from here, really. You're just right next town over. And it was a sunny day. This was in August. And I just thought this was an interesting scene because it has kind of some typical features of the side of a building, and it's receding and in perspective. And then there's some other activity, and then there's a big span of grass. And this is actually all less than approachable. And it looks approachable, but it's actually fenced off. And I don't know if that matters, but it's really just a random place. And I think what attracted me to this is not just the light, but how the shapes work together and what that meant. It's kind of traditional in a lot of ways, but in other ways, it's like, well, why bother with a place like this? And to me, it's about that sense of observation. It's about giving something a chance to be itself. And that's kind of what I do. I don't really, I don't embellish, obviously. And I don't also, I let it, I want the scene to, kind of have its own power to it. I'm not necessarily there to completely change things. I just want to sort of observe it and record it and see what happens. And that's kind of what I do. It's really based on observation and what happens while you're observing something. And what you're doing observing something is you're sitting back and responding to what's in front of you. You're not necessarily trying to change it. You're not necessarily trying to scream it or illuminate it any more than it's illuminated in the world. And that's one of the things I stick to. That's one of my rules, is working from life and letting what's in front of me have its say. And this So this weekend, I'm open Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 4, right here in my studio. You can come and see hundreds and hundreds of paintings. And my fellow, 5 of my fellow artists in the village of Cambridge will be open also. And if you're not seeing this then, you can look up online, and there's a lot of stuff online. These are not yet online because I haven't photographed them well enough to get the images online. But sign up for my newsletter and I'll be posting stuff, and there's a blog and all that stuff. Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.